Friday, and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils shows. Guys, shout out to OG's Brands, the official sponsor of Flavoring Fridays. OG's is not your average cannabis-infused gummy. They absolutely knock it out of the park when it comes to flavor, and the effects of their gummies are a total slam dunk, too. Head on over to ogsbrands.com to see their full lineup, including their two newest gummies, the OG's Naturals and the Big OG's, and find out where you can purchase. Word on the street, OG's. What? Slated to be the next head coach, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
I mean, you want to be high in the rankings, so it makes sense.
We're a minute in, and I'm ready to walk off.
Hey, man.
To be totally honest with you. Guys, if you're new here, I am Anthony Totri. We got Erik Ruby to my right, to your left. We got DJ Danielle behind the Mac. Do us a solid. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And if you're listening on audio, go ahead, leave us a 5-star review. Let us know what you like about this podcast. I am sure everybody is going to love what we're doing today and totally agree with all of our takes, because it seemed that way when we did a tier list for Big 12 quarterbacks just the other day.
Right. Yeah, I would say it totally didn't get in U of A fans' heads. They totally didn't care.
Yep.
It did not live rent-free at all. They just let it wash over them and go. I will be honest, though, you know, maybe we should have shifted some things around. Maybe.
Nah.
But I stand on it.
Nah, you got to live with it. You live with it.
And we're going to live with it, and we're going to have another one.
Well, yeah, because look, coaches, I feel like, have been obviously a hot topic both in the NFL and college football just over the last week or so. Obviously,
last
Black
5
Monday.
minutes, basically.
Yeah, last half hour with the report that Kalen DeBoer is slated to be the next Alabama football coach per Pete Thamel. So we'll see if that's finalized over the next 45 minutes to an hour. But in the meantime, as it relates to college football coaches, it doesn't appear anybody in the Big 12 is leaving anytime soon. So figured we might as well do a Big 12 coaches tier list. So is there anywhere specific that you want to start? I know last time we started with some of the new PAC schools heading over. Do you want to do the same?
Yeah, let's start with the PAC. Let's kind of get things established, and then let's fill in the blank.
Okay, let's go ahead. We'll start with Utah's Kyle Whittingham.
I mean, this one's really easy to me. This is maybe the easiest one on the list.
He's S tier.
He's S tier.
He is the best coach in the conference.
He has the longevity for it. He has the success for it. He has an entire culture built over there to where you know what Utah football is going to be like. Without a doubt, I would say that just based off of longevity and production, he is clear S tier right up there.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at it from a Pac-12 coach's standpoint, when we're talking Lincoln Riley, Chip Kelly, and some of those other, even Dan Lanning, right? I feel like Kyle Whittingham belongs in that same conversation with a guy like Dan Lanning, just in terms of what he's been capable of doing over his tenure. His career record, Kyle Whittingham, over 20 years, is 162-79.
Woo.
A 67.
I mean, at a school that's not known, like,
he put it on the map,
right? Yeah, like they were not like this college football powerhouse with this established culture. Like, they were just the Utah Utes football program, and now you can go into basically any year and say, yeah, they could be a top 10 team.
Yeah,
like without questioning your mind. Maybe some years it's more of a reach than others, but I am already 1 for 1 in this. I think we're killing it. I think we stopped the tier here. We post it, and nobody's angry.
Look, the one thing I will say about Kyle Whittingham in Utah that I think hurts the Utes in general is you look at what they've been capable of doing the last few years in bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
From what I can tell, Kyle Whittingham and Utah have lost their last 5 bowl games in a row. Lost the Las Vegas Bowl, lost the Rose Bowl, didn't go to a bowl game in 2020 because of COVID. They lost the Alamo Bowl, and they lost the Holiday Bowl back in 2018. So I think that can be almost an argument, I guess, devil's advocate for him not being S tier is postseason success. But I think to your point about longevity and what Kyle Whittingham kind of stands for as a coach, even other coaches that get hired like Kenny Dillingham, referencing the Utah football program as really a path to what they want to be. Kyle Whittingham is the gold standard for a college football coach.
Right. And you can't always base stuff off of bowl success, especially in this current era of college football, where a lot of the times the bowls look a little bit different than what a normal week-to-week game would look like. But, I mean, that's fair. He's not the perfect head coach. I don't know if there is a perfect head coach on this list.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable putting him in S despite, leaving something to be desired in bowl games.
Absolutely. We got people in the chat ready to talk ASU basketball. We will talk all things Alonzo Gaffney in just a little bit after we do the tier list. But Alonzo Gaffney can wait.
Why are you chomping at the bit to talk about that game?
Yeah, we've already. JJ said ready to talk Alonzo Gaffney when the time is right.
The time will be right.
Danny in the chat. Alonzo Gaffney is terrible. All he does is foul.
Except for that one game against Stanford.
Yeah, the one game that Flex was watching, and
sometimes he fouls from the bench.
Sometimes he decides to foul out from the bench.
You know what I call that? Versatility.
Yeah. Well, we've established something called Gaffneying. Which is when you foul out with no points as a starter.
I like that.
Yeah, it's real rough. But again, moving on from Kyle Whittingham, let's go ahead. Let's do Jedd Fisch, another fan base that totally agrees with us, the Arizona Wildcats, on everything. Where do you see Jedd Fisch on this list in reality?
All right. Maroon-colored glasses off. He's high A or S.
Okay.
I'm just deciding between the two.
Okay, the only reason I'm not going to say S is because he hasn't done it consistently.
I mean, that is fair, and that is a big reason why I have Whittingham in S is because of the longevity behind it. But nothing to me points that he would not be able to sustain something like this. I don't know if he's going to be at U of A forever, to be honest with you, because that Washington opening is maybe looking pretty juicy.
Oh, my goodness.
But
I don't know if there's anything I'd love more than to see Jedd Fisch bounce to Washington.
That'd be amazing. I'm okay with sticking him in A, but when we look at the other coaches, I do think that he's better than maybe all of the remaining coaches left. And so if it gets down to it, I don't know about bumping him up to S.
No, he's not.
But I'm
to
cool.
be S, you got to do it for a while.
That's fair. I'm okay with that. I'm good with that argument. I'm good with going A. I am sure that Arizona fans will respond accordingly with tact and grace.
I feel like there's Arizona fans that if you disagree with Jedd Fisch, if you think Jedd Fisch belongs in S, then again, I would call you a homer, but there's just like,
I mean, I get it if you're love drunk on the program right now. If I was like, if we were looking at ASU and ASU just had the season that U of A had after the 2 seasons prior,
but after 1 year, are we crowning somebody like
it's not
S tier
coach? I'm not saying it's the correct thing to do. I'm just saying that if you're like in love with the program and the rebuild and you're like, this guy's amazing, I could see why people would argue for S. I'm perfectly fine with A.
Yeah, and it looks like a lot of people in the chat that are U of A, Tony, Jervis, David, a lot of people agree that they understand kind of the difference between a high A or S. So I'm totally comfortable putting Jedd Fisch in A. Now my favorite one comes.
Yeah.
Because I live for this. I live for moments to where I get to talk about Deion Coach Prime Sanders. Simply because I am of the belief that Deion is not a good football coach. I think he can sell anything to you. I think he is great for marketing. I think he's great for media. I think he's great for recruiting. But on the field, I just don't think he can really hang with the talent in the Big 12. And you look at Colorado last year, everybody lost their mind over a 3-win football team, the worst in the Pac-12. Mind you, he won Sports Person of the Year.
That's still incredible to me.
And they were the worst team in the conference. Make it make sense to me, Erik.
That was decided well before it came out. That was decided probably in like the first 2 weeks of the season, which is also when a lot of other people decided how good Colorado was going to be for the whole year. I don't think he's a bad coach, but I do think that he's a stronger recruiter. He's a stronger leader. He's a stronger kind of rah-rah guy than he is a coach. And so I would say the highest I'm willing to consider is B. C's kind of calling my name. I think D is too far. What do you think?
You think D is too far?
I think D is I don't think that he's that bad of a coach. Like, I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh my gosh, what is he doing? He's not a great coach." Like, I liked a lot of the decisions that he made this year. I don't think that he always prepared his team in the best way. I don't think his team was as good as people thought they were going to be, and that kind of set some unfair expectations up on all of them. But I don't go into Colorado games and then leave thinking like, what the hell was Deion Sanders doing? But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Like, do you feel differently?
Well, this is what I'm trying to find, right? So who were Colorado's 3 wins this past season? Arizona State going through a rebuild.
Right.
Nebraska going through a rebuild.
Right.
And a pretty bad TCU team after,
when they played, the
plummet.
Expectations were different because TCU was coming off.
But is that how you judge it?
No. You judge off of who they actually played. And I remember saying that when the Buffs first took that win and they were playing, everybody's like, "Oh my God, they beat TCU," and you just could watch that TCU team. It's like that's not the same team that they were last year. You can't just consider them to be the same. But I don't know. I mean, are you saying C or are you saying D?
I'm saying C or D. Because, again, you look at the teams that he's beaten. Those are all 3 Power 5 teams that they've beaten regardless of what they went through. You look at his time at Jackson State in 2022. I'm looking at the teams that they played. Their best win in 2022 was Texas Southern or Grambling. Those would be your best 2. And then in 2021, again, looking at the best team that they beat, I would say Alabama State. Or Texas Southern again. Like, they haven't, he's never proven that he can beat other legit teams.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think we're also judging him on the Deion scale, where if he was anybody else in his first year, you would kind of give him a little bit more grace. Kind of the same way we give Kenny more grace, where it's like, yeah, maybe the win-loss record and all of that isn't that great, and you can look at that, but who's able to really come in and microwave a program to greatness? Like, nobody, not even Deion Sanders, even though those were the expectations put on him because everybody was saying that he could do that. But that's also kind of an unfair standard to be held to.
But the same people that were telling you that Deion Sanders was gonna be Jesus Christ in football form, they're people that don't understand that you can't, like you said, microwave a football program the way that he was trying to do, or the way that the national media said he was going to do. Like Danny bringing it up in the chat, like at the start of the season, comparing Colorado to 2019 LSU.
I mean, that was just
the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
That was some real ass clickbait, man. And to be honest, like, it got us because we're still here talking about it however many months later. But yeah, the hype was real. He didn't live up to the hype. You can hold that against him.
And I will.
And I don't blame you. I'm not arguing for B. I think C's the highest now that, like, I'm willing to go, but I'm also not ready to say he's like that bad. I don't know if D. I think C is fair because also
I think the only reason he's C is for recruiting.
Well, I'm about to say, how much of this do you scale personally on the Anthony Totri ranking?
The Anthony Totri ranking would have Deion Sanders in the D for Deion.
Okay,
that's where I would put him, but I'm going to be generous.
Not hard to find him.
It's not hard to find him. He's at the bottom of the list. No, I think in terms of recruiting, I can live with Deion being a C, but Deion at some point has to prove that he is more than just a recruiter and that he's a legit football coach, and he has to go out there and beat other legit teams. You can't have wins over Grambling and, again, a 3-win Arizona State team in year 1 saying, this is the guy. I
know you can't count almost wins, but 5 of a Kind Media in the chat says Colorado almost beat U of A and almost USC too. I mean, they were not an atrociously terrible college football team. They were just bad. Like they weren't good. They were just bad.
They're almost. Yeah, I was almost a doctor or almost an astronaut. But
I don't know about that. I think they were closer to the wins than you were to that.
Almost,
buddy. I'm sorry.
Almost. That's just we're tossing that.
Did you
word
drop
around.
out of
almost
astronaut
doesn't count.
School 30 days before graduating?
Yeah, the portal opened.
The portal opened
so
for journalism school.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fair enough. I think you found your calling. But yeah, I mean, and Ryan Neal in the chat also says he inherited a 1-11 team. Like that's kind of what I'm saying is why I can't go D. I can't. I know that you feel differently about Deion.
I do.
I'm not as strong in that place, but I'm also not like headstrong for him. So let's go see, and let's move on from prime time.
Okay, we will keep Kenny for last. Let's go ahead and do Oklahoma State's Mike Gundy, the best hair in the conference.
Best hair. Is he also in consideration for best coach?
That's a tough one. Again, you want to talk about somebody that has been, to be great, you have to be consistently good, right?
And he has been.
Oklahoma State, he's been there since 2005. Do you know how many bowl games or seasons, I guess, without a bowl game that Oklahoma State has had while Mike Gundy has been the coach?
He's
been the coach 19 years. He's been at Oklahoma State.
Years.
18 years.
I think it's just his first year.
His first year in 2005
they're always good.
Was the only time that Oklahoma State didn't go to a bowl game. Again, he has found ways, sometimes, making something out of absolutely nothing in Stillwater. And there's a reason why Oklahoma State continues to be a middle-of-the-pack team, even with the changing landscape of college football. I think the lowest that you could realistically go is a B for Gundy. I would listen to an A argument.
I don't think you can go lower than A.
You're going A?
I don't think you can go lower than A. Part of me was slightly considering S, but I don't think their consistent level is as high as a Utah and Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah.
But to be bowling 18 out of 19 years,
that's pretty
18
crazy.
Straight years with Oklahoma State, that's really impressive. And do I think that he is just the greatest coach in college football? No, but you do need to respect all of this. And I mean, look, if you're talking about it, if you're just looking at the former Big 12 schools, including the ones that are leaving in Texas and in Oklahoma, you could argue he's the best coach out of all of those. And a lot of rankings before last season had Mike Gundy as the #1 coach in the Big 12.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that is an out there conversation to have. In fact, I think if you had to kind of put odds down on it, most people would probably roll with him just based off of how long he's been around. But he's not Kyle Whittingham. And if I had to coach for one game, I would take Jedd Fisch before him.
You would take Jedd Fisch over Gundy?
Yes, for one game.
But you're taking Gundy. Gundy's an A coach.
So
I think Gundy's an A coach.
I think he's A. I think I'd put him behind Jedd. The longevity is carrying Gundy more than the ceiling, and I think Jedd has a higher ceiling, personally.
Okay.
So I'm good with the hair being an A.
Okay, I could live with it. Gundy as an A tier coach, but S tier hair, for sure. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go ahead. We could do TCU's Sonny Dykes now.
Okay.
A dude only been at TCU for a couple of seasons, and in those 2 seasons, kind of wildly different years.
Oh, yeah.
2022, obviously, a 13-2 year. The TCU team that just got absolutely dog-walked by Georgia in the national championship
game. But they made it.
They did. They did make it. And then, obviously, in 2023, a giant drop-off. The team went 5-7. They did lose Max Duggan and a lot of talent that they had at TCU. But with just those 2 years, you kind of have to go outside the scope and see what Sonny did at some of these other programs. Was at SMU before TCU, was at Cal before that, and then Louisiana Tech to really start his coaching career. Do you see enough to put him as an A-tier coach just based off the fact that he took TCU to a natty in year 1?
I mean, it's not nothing, right?
It's not nothing, but when you lose as bad as they did, and you have Georgia players eating chicken wings.
But a lot of teams would have lost like that. To that Georgia team. That Georgia team is one of the best you've ever seen on the college football field.
That can't be the, what's the word I'm looking for? That can't be the excuse, right? Number 1 is just so much better than number 2 that anybody else would have lost like that. At a certain point, you're the second best team in the nation, and you're playing in the national championship game. You can't lose by 40, 50 points? That's just unacceptable. Not with as much talent that was on that team.
I get it, right? And you can hold that against him, definitely, as far as preparation goes. I still think everybody was going into that game. I don't think anybody was picking TCU to win. Do you remember anybody saying TCU was going to win?
I'm sure there were people out there that thought the Horned Frogs stood a chance. That offense was pretty disgusting.
Yeah, they were, but then there was Georgia, and Georgia was just different. And I'm not gonna put more negative on his plate for making it there and then getting dominated by a team that without a doubt on paper was the better team. Now, I'd have him higher if they put up a better fight. I'd have him higher if they won the game for sure. And it doesn't help that the next season he turns around and doesn't have a great one.
A horrible one.
It's tough because that TCU team was kind of like lightning in a bottle. They kind of had a bunch of transfers come in and they were able to make it gel really quickly. And that is on coaching. Like, that is a really big deal when you have guys that weren't there for a long time and then weren't going to be around after that to kind of put it together and to put together the run that they did. I'm thinking B. I'm thinking B just because he's reached the heights. He flipped SMU around in a couple of years. And before SMU, he wasn't incredible. So I can't put him
He's not Gundy or Fisch.
No.
And he's not Deion. So I think he fits perfectly in the B slot. And I think there is still a big gap between Deion and Dykes. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
That makes the most sense. But moving on, let's go Iowa State. Do Matt Campbell next. This is another interesting one because Iowa State, you want to talk about lightning in a bottle, that 2020 season, 9-3, finished the year with a Fiesta Bowl win, finished 9th in the AP Top 25. Heading into 2021, they were the 7th team in the AP Top 25 to start the season, and that was their highest ranking. They ultimately lost the Cheez-It Bowl and only went 7-6. And they really haven't been able to capture what they did in 2020 since then. That was Campbell's best season at Iowa State. They were 7-6 this past season, 4-8 in 2022. And they just, after Brock Purdy left, they really haven't been anywhere close to as good as I think people maybe anticipated them being.
Yeah, I think that they've been a disappointment as of late, for sure. At the end of the day, though, an 87-63 record, that's not terrible. It's 12 Coach of the Year and 2-time AP Big 12 Coach of the Year. And recently, it hasn't been that great. But I don't know if that's all necessarily a reflection on him. I don't look at the rosters that he's been working with and thinking like, wow, how do you fumble that? I don't.
Iowa State.
Yeah, it's Iowa State. And I think if I'm looking at it, I'm looking at a C or a B, but he has hit some pretty high highs. I think if I'm going to have him in C, I'm going to have him above Deion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not opposed to B. This is the guy that I'd probably put end of B. And maybe once we put all this out here and we kind of revisit and look at everything, I might bump him down to C. But getting Coach of the Year 3 different times is not nothing.
Yeah. No, it's not nothing. And again, I think he is better than Deion. The question is, do you put him in the same tier? Do you put him in the same tier as a coach that led a team to a natty in their first season, and a natty appearance? Or does he belong in the Deion tier at C? And I would honestly lean toward, again, Matt Campbell probably being above Deion in the C tier.
Okay, let's put him high C. I'm not hating.
You're not going to lose sleep over that?
I might, but we'll see.
I think you also got to take into account he has to recruit to Ames, Iowa.
Hey, from what I heard in our comment section, Ames, Iowa is pretty great. I've heard some people talk about the
You ever been to Iowa?
I haven't, personally. I also remember back when I was working on radio and all this stuff kind of broke out in Big 12 and all of that. We were hating on Ames, Iowa, and we had some listeners be like, hey, don't knock it till you try it. Now, I ain't going to try it.
No, I'm going to knock it.
I'll try not to
I'm going to knock it. I've been to places that get that cold, and I'm good. I will absolutely knock it.
It's fair enough. All
Look,
right.
We've gotten about a third of this list. I do want to take a pause and tell you guys about some of our lovely partners that we have, starting with Desert Financial Credit Union, guys. They are the official retail banking partner of Arizona State University, and they are not new to this game. They've been doing it for more than 84 years. Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. Erik, you actually have used Desert Financial Credit Union for a long time.
Whole life, never had a single problem with them whatsoever.
Love to hear
not
it.
one.
Love to hear it. Guys, if you're an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place that you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with exclusive debit cards branded with your favorite teams. Bring the boom and get fired up with Arizona State University Visa debit cards. Now is the time to show your ASU team spirit. Open a free checking account online and get $200 plus your choice of 3 Arizona State University Visa debit cards. Go to desertfinancial.com/ASU to get started.
You want to reach the next level, Totri?
I'm always looking for the next
We're
level.
talking about
man.
with these coaches, man, who's going to take their program to the next level. Well, we might not be college football programs, but we do want to reach that same space.
That same
and you can do
S-tier.
it at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, who are S-tier. Nobody does it like them. A complete immersive experience with an unprecedented level of entertainment and excitement you're not going to find anywhere else in the desert. It's a high bar. They got a bunch of slot machines, live table games. They've got Arizona's largest casino sportsbook, which we hold events out of at Wild Horse Pass Casino. It's the BetMGM sportsbook. It's a great place to watch games, put some money on games, just hang out with friends, or come hang out with us when we have events there as well. And if you're looking for something to eat, you want something casual, they got it. You want something a little higher end, maybe take out your significant other for a nice Valentine's
That's
Day.
where I'm taking Craig Morgan for Valentine's Day.
Craig
He just
Mor-
doesn't know it yet.
He just doesn't know. He knows now because he's giving you a look. I don't think... I don't know, man. I think he might just go by himself. I don't know if you're gonna be there with you. But you know what? You can have fun by yourself at Gila River Resorts and Casinos as well, because everybody's there to have some fun. Plus, if you want to stay, do a little staycation, something local, stay there as well. They got plenty of hotel options. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
To quote PHNX Sun's Lindsay, make sure you've got your pants when you are headed to Gila River Resorts Casinos. I don't think they'll let you in without them. But let's get back to our Big 12 coaches tier list. Next one, Willie Fritz, who isn't in the Big 12 yet, but he has been hired to be Houston's next coach. And Willie Fritz might be a familiar name, because do you know where he was at Houston prior?
No, I don't.
Tulane. Tulane has had some success over the last couple of seasons with Willie Fritz as the coach. This is another unique situation because specifically over the last 2 seasons, Tulane has been really, really solid. In 2023, they were 11-2. In 2022, they were 12-2. Prior to that, though, they've been kind of average, and then in 2021, they weren't good at all. They were 2-10. So it really is an interesting spot with how you want to judge Willie Fritz.
I mean, if you're going to just look off of who you play and success that comes from that, and in 8 seasons at Tulane, he won the second most games in the school's 130 season history, was the American Athletic Conference Coach of the Year in the past 2 seasons, and led them to consecutive AAC championship games. They lost to SMU in this past season. But they ended the regular season 11-2. I mean, this is a guy who's been around.
They beat USC, by the way.
Yeah,
they beat
USC in a bowl game. And I mean, he's been around for a really long time. He's no spring chicken, 63 years old, 31 years in college football. His first job was at Blinn Junior College.
That's not a
head
real place.
coaching.
It's not a real place.
In 1993. Well, it is to Fritz. He's happy to be at Houston, though. Says it's his dream job, and it's kind of like his first big shot. And when you take over a school like Tulane in 2016, they had appeared in just 2 bowl games since 1999.
Wow.
1999 to 2016, they were in 2 bowl games. It's the anti-Gundy. And
anti-Gundy.
You have to respect that. I know that he hasn't done it at a huge school yet, but that coming with a bunch of success at a school like Tulane, who's been very desperate for it and has not seen it in a very long time, I'm thinking lowest is B. I don't know if I'm ready to go A.
I'm not ready to go A.
I can't go C, though.
No,
I can't go
no.
C.
I feel like C are guys that still have something to prove. I feel like he proved his worth at Tulane over that period of time. And then obviously moving on to Houston, I'm interested to see what he does in year 1. I'm comfortable putting him behind Sony. In the B tier.
Yeah, let's
he might bring up the caboose when it's all said and
I don't
done.
know. He's been very consistent over the past couple of years working with a program that wasn't really one that would be easy to work with.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
do
Tulane
find that
isn't a college
they
football
weren't.
hub.
Now they are. I mean, he's leaving it a lot better than he found it. And
Very true.
He's been around, so I'm with it.
Okay, let's go ahead. Let's do Baylor's coach, Dave Aranda. Been coaching at Baylor for 4 years now, and just about 500 through those 4 years. Baylor had a down season last year. They were 3-9. They were 6-7 in 2022. But at a certain point to start the season, they were in the AP top 25, as high as number 10. And at one point, they reached number 9. But again, ended that season 6-7, losing the Armed Forces Bowl the year before in 2021. They were a 12-2 team. They won the Sugar Bowl. They were on all sorts of highs, the number 5 team in that AP top 25, just missing out in the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Where does Dave belong?
Well, it's tough because last season was not great.
Last season was really bad. And realistically, his 3 of the 4 years that he had coached at Baylor have not been very good.
Yeah, I mean, 3-9, worst record since 2017. They did move on from their offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes. I don't know how much blame you can put on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have our first D. I always feel bad putting somebody in D.
Why?
Well, I guess I don't really care, so why should I? I don't know. What do you think? Is D too harsh?
It is.
I mean, I'm surprised he's still there, to be honest with you.
At Baylor?
Yeah.
I think this is his last season.
Well, without a doubt, this is his last shot. And can you give a guy who has put himself in that position? See?
They've been pretty bad.
They have. I think
you're right. I'm with you.
D.
I think D. I think we've got our first D coach.
We're
Dave,
very evenly spread here.
Dave stands for D, right?
Do we want to run through?
Or D stands for Dave? Yeah, not Dave stands for D.
Yeah, either way. You want to run through who we got here just for anybody who's joining us? And
absolutely. So if you're new here, we got Kyle Whittingham in the S tier. We got Jedd Fisch and Mike Gundy in the A tier. Sony Dykes, and remind me, Willie Fritz here in the B tier. Matt Campbell and Dion Coach Prime Sanders in the C tier, and Dave Aranda in that D tier. Still got a couple coaches left. I do want to move on to the BYU coach.
Okay.
Kalani Sitake. First off, phenomenal name. And I
probably best name on this list.
Love what he's been able to do in a short period of time. Just recently, I would say, with BYU football. And he's just a dude. I don't know if you've watched any BYU football games. He's a coach that I feel like you just want to root for, right? Like, he's been at BYU for 8 years now, and this has been a team that, again, you want to talk about somebody that's found ways to get to bowl games. 4-2 in their bowl games, 6 bowl game appearances, and this is a BYU team that I feel like they've always been pretty average in the Big 12.
Yeah, he's a good coach. I think he's at least a solid coach. I'm not thinking anything lower than B for him. Maybe high C if you convince me. I can't go A. I feel like he's probably going to be around average. But he's I mean,
what'd you think of? And last year was BYU's first year in the Big 12, right? They were in the West Coast Conference from 2011 to 2023. So that's where you see kind of that 11-1, 10-3 success. Last year, first year in the Big 12, 5-7. Obviously, you're meeting different competition.
Right.
Do you think that impacts where he has to fall on this list? Kind of the same way that it impacted Dion at Jackson State.
But he's had more success before.
Yeah.
Before Dion. He's been around for a little bit longer. If he is C, he's ahead of Dion. And I probably would put him at the top of C.
You want to put him at the top of C?
Yeah. I know that conferences are maybe a little bit different.
I almost want to put him in between Campbell and Dion.
I'm fine. Do it.
Just because Campbell, when he had Purdy,
he had the heights.
They had higher highs than I would say that Kalani has had at BYU over the last little bit.
Cool.
So let's see. Where do we want to go next? Do we want to just go right into Kenny here? I almost want to.
I mean, if that's what you want,
because we've kind of got a standard. We've kind of got a standard list here. I want to hear your take on where you think Kenny Dillingham, the head coach for Arizona State, fits on this list. Because last year, obviously, his first year as the head coach, we've seen where he's been prior and had successes as an OC.
Okay, I got 2 answers. Which one do you want first?
Well, depends.
1 or 2.
Give me 2.
You want 2? It's C.
C. Okay.
It's C. And
explain to me why.
That answer is the base off of what the results have been and longevity and how we would judge other people. I don't think that he's done enough to do that. Now, you want my personal rankings of how good of a coach that I think he is and where he can get. I would have him in B now, and I think he can get up to A. And if you give him 10 years, I think you can get him up to S. Like, that's how good this guy is. He's got recruiting. He's got insane creativity on the field. He's got buy-in from the players. He has all the building blocks to be an S-tier coach and an A-tier coach within the next 2 years. But at the end of the day, he's had 1 season.
As a head coach.
A lot went wrong that was out of his control, and he did his best. But the results are what the results are. And I think for the sake of this, I'm okay putting him at the end of B. I would take him to coach my program out of anybody below that. So I guess that can kind of be the deciding factor. But where do you go?
I think he belongs in B, at the end of B, because I think, look, if you're going through the A coaches, they're fighting to be S coaches, right? And the C coaches, they have a lot to prove. I feel like the B coaches, specifically with what we have, right? With Willie coming over from Tulane to Houston, he's had success, but right? You look at Sonny Dykes at TCU, had success, but Kenny Dillingham has had success,
but not as a head coach.
Not as a head coach, no. But everywhere else he has been, and again, we judged Dion and we judged Willie prior, specifically Dion, before being like at a D1 program.
Right.
And he wasn't ever a coordinator.
But he was the head coach.
He was the head coach. So it really depends on how much you want to judge everything else.
I mean, yeah, it's hard. Like C is where not the cynic, but like the realist, the like try to step outside of like personal bias.
Yeah.
Trying to come at that. But personally, I'm such a big fan of him, his scheme, how he talks to players, how he recruits players. Like you play sports video games and the guy has potential at the very end, right? And it's like potential is A+. Like the potential with Kenny is A+. Or like S tier, I guess is what you would call it with this. The potential for him is there, and I don't see a reality where he does not climb those ranks and hopefully stays at ASU that entire time. Sorry, Sharon, who wanted us to keep Dilly last. If he is C, he's top. And if he is B, he's probably bottom. I think for the sake of...
Do you want to fill out the we've had the conversation now.
Do you want
to fill out the rest of the list
and
then kind of see where we go from there?
We might need to go rapid fire.
This is tough here.
We're digging into this.
I know. I love it.
And we have to talk about Alonzo Gaffney.
Maybe. Trust me. The Alonzo Gaffney stuff can always wait. Trust me.
All right. Let's
get into Neil Brown, West Virginia coach. Been at West Virginia since 2019. Really a program that you want to talk about that's been average since he got there. 5-7, 6-4, 6-7, 5-7 last year. 9-4. They won the most disgusting bowl game of them all, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. But again, at West Virginia as the head coach, they've been pretty average over the last 4 or 5 years. You have any particular place that you see?
Middle C.
Middle C? Are we talking
above Dion?
Are you talking above Dion?
9-4 last year, been around. I mean,
I don't know. I honestly,
they won a bowl game.
They did. I might put Dion ahead of him just for recruiting stuff.
That's fair. You, if I had to choose who I'd want in a program, it would be Dion. I just kind of wanted to join you in
the hate of Dion.
Yeah,
Sanders.
I don't think he's a great coach. And to see, but they're not as bad as Baylor has been.
Baylor's been so bad, dude.
So I can't put him D. C is okay with me. He had a good last season, but again, do it for longer.
Do it for longer. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh my goodness, let's go ahead to the Kansas State coach, Chris Cleelman.
I like him.
5 years, 39-24 career record. You look at Kansas State over the last few years. Won the Pop-Tart Bowl, lost the Sugar Bowl, won the
Pop-Tart Bowl. This will win.
We're ranking bowl games now.
I'm kidding.
Kansas State 9-4 in 2023. They were 10-4 before that, then 8-5, 4-6, and then 8-5 in the 5 years he's been at Kansas State. They have been to 4 bowl games. Again, played in the Texas Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Liberty Bowl, and Pop-Tarts Bowl. We might have another A coach here.
I mean, I was personally debating, is it A or is it B? And I really like him a lot. I'm okay with end of A or top of B.
I can live with putting him at the end of A.
I think between him and Dykes is a good conversation, to be honest with you. Just because Dykes has hit that ceiling higher.
Yeah.
But the way that K-State has kind of been built and that foundation is there, and you can just tell that everybody's kind of playing the right way. It is kind of a cliche, but it's true. End of A. Let's do end of A.
I'm here for it.
Especially for a program like Kansas State. End of A.
Yeah. He's really, really turned that around.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead. We could do Kansas now. Lance Leopold.
I like Lance.
Do you?
Yeah.
What do you like about Lance? Aside from his name.
It is a good name. I look, I'm not saying like as in like A or high B. But Kansas is kind of a tough hand to be dealt, and their program is better with him.
They won a bowl game, and at one point they were number 19 in
the AP
Top 25.
He's 163-60 as a head coach, 3-2 in bowls. But I mean, again, a lot of that is also in some Division III stuff. He won 6 Division III national championships. Did you know that?
Yeah, Buffalo. I'm looking at his record. At Buffalo, he was on a tear at a certain point. 10-4, 8-5, 6-1 in 2020. Then he got to Kansas. Last 3 seasons, 2-10 the first year. Kansas, not good. 6-7 in 2022, and then 9-4 in year 3. You know, that feels a lot like Jedd Fisch.
I'm gonna like. That's why I like him. Like taking Kansas after having sustained success in different levels of college football, being around. He's been coaching for 30 years. He's been a head coach for a long time.
Now,
I maybe longer than 30 years.
I feel like we're dancing between high B and low A.
I think I'm gonna go high B.
High B?
I'm gonna go high B.
Top of B.
Top of B.
I can live with that.
I'm gonna go top of B.
What would you say, and you might not have an answer for this, and this is fine. What is the difference between him and Jedd Fisch? Why, after 3 seasons, is Lance Leopold high B and Jedd Fisch high A? What's the difference?
I think U of A's been a better team. Like and the turnaround. Well, yeah, like
the floor was lower.
I mean, I don't know, man, because first year at Kansas, 2-10, 1-8 in the conference.
Yeah, they were bad.
It's really bad. That's really bad. But I just think as a whole, if I'm taking a program going forward and who I think is going to be a better team, I would take the University of Arizona. But you wouldn't be killing me to put him in A. I wouldn't.
I think
I wouldn't hate it.
The only reason that I'm going to say that he is a top of B instead of low A is simply because, again, a lot of this, and maybe not a lot of it, but part of it has to do with who you play, right? Mm-hmm. The Big 12 last year specifically wasn't as competitive as the Pac-12.
No, the Pac-12 was great.
So that is why I would argue Jedd Fisch for being where he's at versus Lance Leopold. So I'm comfortable with where they are at there.
I'm with it. I do think that there's a world where he is A.
Yeah, so, I think so
if
too.
If he gets one more really good year out in Kansas, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not at Kansas a lot longer.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. Let's go ahead and we could do Cincinnati's coach next. Scott Satterfield, 10 years coaching, obviously not all of those years at Cincinnati. 2023 was his first year with the Bearcats, a 3-9 season. Definitely a downward spiral after Luke Fickell left for Wisconsin.
Right.
Before that, he was at Louisville, 7-5, 6-7, 4-7, 8-5. Appalachian State, it was above average there. Then obviously moved on to Louisville. Had, again, kind of a weird career to go ahead and get that Cincinnati job after Luke Fickell left.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. When he got hired, I was like, what?
It was almost like they were hoping and praying for the next Luke Fickell.
Well, right, but I didn't see it with him. I still don't see it with him.
No, 3-9. There's just not a whole lot of proven succse. Ooh, is he a D coach? Do we have another D?
I think we do. I mean, let me just read off the record, right? Since he left Appalachian State, 8-5, 4-7, 6-7, 7-5, 3-9.
Yeah, not good.
The Big 12 wasn't great last year. And you're at a school that is not too many years removed from hitting very high highs.
Yeah.
On a national stage. So that helps with recruiting. I can't say I've seen anything out of him that would be like I want him to lead my football program, right? Like I don't really want that.
I can live with him being a D coach. Now, do you put him above Dave or below Dave? Or is D just D?
Honestly, D is just D to me. I don't really care.
Pause. But yeah, we can go ahead. We can put him in the D tier. Let's go ahead. We could do UCF next. We got our good buddy Gus here. Okay. Gus Malzahn, been coaching for 12 years college football, 101-54. And then in bowl games, again, you kind of see the disparity here. Only 3-7 in bowl appearances. He's been at UCF for a few years now. They were 6-7 last year. Still went to a bowl game, but lost. They lost the Military Bowl in 2022. And then in his first season at UCF, they went 9-4. And they actually did win a bowl game. He was at Auburn and had a pretty successful career there. Appearances in the Sugar Bowl, the Peach Bowl, the Outback Bowl. And then obviously he was at Auburn in 2013 when they lost the BCS championship game.
We sniffing another A?
We might be. It's tough, though, for me to put him in the A after a 6-7 season. Because you look at the other three guys, it is one season. But you look at the other three guys.
And they're on higher highs.
They are on much higher highs right now.
I get it.
That's why I feel like he fits the B tier of A. He did this,
I think he's top of B.
Over our boy Lance?
well, I mean, he's been around longer.
He has been. He has been around
He's had
longer.
more career success. He's had a down season at UCF. First 2 seasons at UCF were 9-win marks. He's up there. I'll let you make the call. Top of B, I don't know whether to put him behind or in front of Lance.
I'm comfortable putting him above Lance.
Okay.
In
I'm
the
with
B
it.
tier.
I'm with him.
Actually, let's go ahead. Let's put him right after Lance. Because again, Lance, that 3-year, he had a good season. You look at that 3-year span. We've only got 2 coaches left, Kenny Dillingham being one of them, and then the Texas Tech coach as well. We will get to those here in a second. But first, I want to tell you guys how I started my day. Eric, do you know how I started my day?
Actually, I do know because it's how you start every day. You went and got an energy drink from Circle K.
Day. I'm there twice a day, either for a snack and an energy drink or for gas and an energy drink. Guys, Circle K, they have it all for you, and they're going to help you save money every single day with their new free membership program, Inner Circle. And when you get started, you can save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and then every day after that, you are going to save 3 cents per gallon. You're going to get every 6th free on a selection of Circle K products, pizza, coffee, ice-cold fountain drinks, and if that's not enough, like I said, they have phenomenal deals on energy drinks and all of their other snacks at Circle K, not to mention they've got 1,000,005 different locations. So join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
If you don't have the Circle K app already,
what are you doing?
You're not a part of the Inner Circle. Do you hate saving money? Do you hate getting good deals? Do you like paying full price for gas? I don't know, man. That just doesn't sound right to me. And if you like saving money, you probably like free money as well.
I love free money.
And that is where our friends at the BetMGM Sportsbook come in. If you download the BetMGM Sportsbook app, sign up and deposit at least $5 into your newly created account, place a wager in the amount of at least that $5. Once you've placed the bet, you're going to receive $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome's wager. That's free money.
That is free money.
It is literally free money. You don't have to do anything except for put $5 in, sign up for an account, place a bet. Doesn't matter if it wins, doesn't matter what it is, but you can listen to this guy, get a nice parlay, and it will be a winner. Plus, you're going to get your $158 free. Now you're rolling in cash. That's a lot of gas at Circle K, man. That's a lot of gas. Listen, sign up for BetMGM. Use bonus code PHNX. That's important. Use code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application. For at least $5, you'll receive $158 instantly in additional winnings regardless of your wager's outcome. You can check out the show notes for details. And now listen to Shane talk about that disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-522-4700 Nevada. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Kansas, Nevada, New York, or Ontario.
You want to say it?
No,
Okay.
I'm sticking to it.
Well, look, we've got 2 coaches left. Before we do that, we do have some breaking news, according to Pete Thamel. Kalen DeBoer has informed Washington that he will be the next coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Life's a dirty game, BJ Green. Life's
Damn.
a dirty game.
Damn.
Dude transferred to UW.
Yeah,
Thinking
I
that
would
he was going to be playing for DeBoer, and now DeBoer's heading over to Alabama. That's tough.
You know what that means?
Come home.
You know what that means?
home.
The transfer portal, as
Come
soon as
home.
that announcement is official, the transfer portal window will be open for all Washington Huskies for the next 30 days.
I mean, it's not one of those schools that we were talking about that Kenny has deep connections with, but I mean, it was a school that ASU had played last year. I'm sure some of the players are familiar with how tough of a game ASU gave them.
Yeah.
Even the ones who've been there for a couple years before the Dillingham era, and Trenton Bourguet, the last quarterback to beat Michael Penix before Michigan. I don't see why some of them wouldn't look at ASU, but I cannot be as confident that Kenny's going to be picking from the pile as I would if it was a Mike Norvell at Florida State, or before he said it wasn't going to happen to Dan Lanning at Oregon.
Now, look, there are people, ASU fans in the chat, asking about BJ Green. BJ Green is allowed to return. He can transfer back to Arizona State. With that, though, the reason I don't think it will happen is simply because we've heard Kenny Dillingham talk a lot about if you don't want to be at Arizona State, then you don't have to be. I will wish you the absolute best, and you can be on your way. I don't know how Kenny Dillingham would feel. How would you feel if your girlfriend breaks up with you? She sees that the grass isn't greener on the other side, and she comes crawling back to you. Do you say welcome home?
I think it's a little bit of a different situation.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. Because if you're going to Washington, because you're like, the only reason I don't want to be at ASU is because I like the situation in Washington better, and then the situation changes at Washington, and you go back to Kenny, you'd be like, hey, man, like, obviously things changed. I appreciated how you handled this. I've been thinking about it, and if I can't be there with how I thought that was going to be, there's no other place I would rather be than here.
Maybe some couples therapy is what they'll need.
I mean, maybe. But I also, I get that Kenny only wants guys who want to be there. But if you make it clear, like the reasoning behind everything, you sit down, you have a conversation with him. I also don't see Kenny as the type of guy to hold a grudge, especially if you're a player that can help.
Well, look, we talk about, and this is the fun cycle that we're going to see for really the first time in a long time in college football, because there hasn't been a job opening quite like Alabama in some time, right? So Alabama, Nick Saban retires. Kalen DeBoer, one of the best coaches in college football, takes Washington to a national championship appearance. They lose to Michigan regardless. We talk about DeBoer going to Alabama. Boom. Washington's roster is now open season.
Yeah.
Who fills that spot, right? Because whoever fills that spot, guess what? If they're a head coach, their roster opens up.
Jedd Fisch. What? Huh?
We'll see.
Where's that contract extension?
We'll see.
What? Huh?
They
What?
misplaced it along with what, $240 million? So
It was lost in filing.
we will see what happens, but no, my personal 2 cents on it is I don't think BJ Green would transfer back to Arizona State. From my understanding,
It's not likely.
he had other offers at one Big 12 school and other schools, and a Big 10 school, I believe, as well. So he's definitely got his opportunities around the nation. We will see what transpires with BJ Green and I guess some of these other portal players. But let's go ahead, finish the last two of these Big 12 coaches. Going to Texas Tech, Joey McGuire, the new head football coach of Jalen Conyers, tight end, running back, quarterback, all things podcaster. Joey McGuire, 2 seasons at Texas Tech, 8-5 in 2022. They won the Texas Bowl, and then 7-6 in 2023. They also won the Independence Bowl. So 2 bowling appearances, 2 kind of slightly better than average seasons. Where do you put our good friend
C?
Joey? C.
High C, low B? You seem surprised by that.
I do, because he's had 2 winning records and 2 bowl wins.
Yeah, but
I will listen to it. I'll listen to it. There's just not a lot of there's not a lot to really go off of here.
And that's kind of why I would go C and top of C, to be clear about that. I would listen to top of C, end of B.
Top of C, end of B.
But I'm not going to lose sleep either way. I don't think it's enough, and I don't think that slightly above 500 records, you're not ending up in the greatest bowl game. And I don't value bowl wins in this era of college football as much as I did maybe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so he's not a bad coach. He's fine. I just haven't seen a lot. And that leads me to err on the side of caution. So high C, low B.
High
What do you
C,
think?
low B.
Are
I
you
don't think he's a
thinking-
B coach. The B coaches we've been pretty consistent with. They've had success, but they're missing something.
Yeah,
Right.
And he's had relative
2
success.
seasons of, I would say, success. They've gone bowling. I think there is an expectation that this year they make a little bit more of a jump.
I mean, yeah. So how does he get Jalen Conyers?
So low B or high C is kind of where we're at here. Look, we've got Kenny too. Kenny is in that same ballpark of low B, high C.
I mean, it's tough because he has had better records than Kenny the last couple of years, but I would without a doubt take Kenny over him to lead my football program.
This is a tough one, man. This is a real tough one. I'll let you make the call on Joey.
I'm going to go high C.
High C for Joey?
I can't
Okay.
put him in B.
Okay. And now, so we've kind of got our rankings as they stand now. We're just missing Kenny Dillingham.
High
And
C,
we
low
talked
B.
about high C, low B. Danielle, we're kind of split here. Erik is on the high C. I'm on the low B tier. Where do you want to put him?
I would go low B.
Low B?
Because
to
I
be
think-
fair, I'm not
I-
opposed.
I think where the program was when he inherited it, and I think somebody in the chat, it was a while ago, so I might not find it, but said, here it is, Stephen Joseph said, and I've never seen a coach single-handedly win a game until this year at UCLA.
It's fair.
Without Kenny Dillingham, ASU doesn't win
Any games.
No,
maybe
God,
any
no.
game, to be honest,
True.
but especially UCLA.
S tier.
But okay.
S tier. No,
Put
I would
Bub
definitely put him
Whittingham.
in B.
I'm
And I
comfortable.
don't even know if I would put him low B. I would put him middle B.
I think I'll put him at the end of B just for the
It's been one season. Yeah, he had really shitty cards dealt to him, guys. And the crappy thing is, people will see this
oh my
tier.
gosh.
And they'll see it
Everybody's
without,
going to agree with this on social
They're
media.
gonna
I
see
know
it
it.
without context and all of that. How could Kenny be B but the guys below him
Perfect,
had better
let it.
records? He is an incredible recruiter. He is an incredible person to lead a program. He was dealt probably the worst hand in entire college football.
He was dealt a pretty
point,
shitty hand.
Point blank, period.
Yeah.
And he did with it what he could. And nobody's leaving ASU unhappy. They're just leaving for more money, which again is not a Kenny Dillingham problem.
To put it into perspective, what Kenny Dillingham inherited was a senile old man took a puzzle out of a box and scattered the pieces across the state of Arizona.
But then he also looked up the answers to the puzzle. And
You're right.
Still
He
couldn't get
cheated.
the puzzle right.
He cheated, and then the puzzle committee decided that he was going to be reprimanded.
But no, not
for it.
him. He wasn't
The
going to be
program,
reprimanded
the
for
other
it.
puzzle put together,
person-
the pieces
I
were
don't know about
reprimanded.
this one, man. I think this might have got a little off the rails.
Kenny is a low B for me. I think he's got
Yeah,
a lot
I'm
of
okay with
potential, but I think with the rest of those B coaches, it is you've done X, Y, and Z, but
Every single guy in
And
that
I think
B tier.
I think Sharon in the chat here, and what he did getting going with the NIL.
Yeah.
Because we talk about leaving for more money. Well, that's not going to be the case anymore.
Yeah.
Because of Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah, all the guys in B had really good records either last season or within the last two
Yeah.
seasons. They've hit high highs. You just can't put Kenny above them right now. Kenny Dillingham will be an A or an S tier coach within the next couple of years. That's not a doubt in my mind. But
Knock on wood.
right now I can't go above that. End of B is perfectly
And I
fair.
think this is the opposite of the rest of B. They have success, but
Right.
Kenny Dillingham has not had success, but
yeah.
Correct.
success on the field, I should say.
I'm comfortable with that. And just a reminder, if you disagree with any of these, you can direct your comments to Erik Ruby at Erik Ruby
ERIKRUBY.
on social media. He
Light
is
'em up.
responsible for this entire tier list. Erik, do you want to do a rundown for everybody that's listening on audio of what we have here?
Yeah, we got Kyle Whittingham in S tier, all by himself. We got Jedd Fisch, Mike Gundy, and Lance Leopold in A. Then we've got
Or Chris Kleelman.
Sorry,
Kleelman, the Kansas State coach.
yeah, sorry, the Blues. We got Lance Leopold.
I know it's so far away, the TV.
It's hard because it's also the coaches, and they all kind of just look generic from far away. And so I'm trying to squint. I should have written this down as I went. I might need your help.
I got you. We
Um,
got Kenny and B. We got
Sonny
Willie
Dykes.
Fritz, Sonny Dykes, Lance Leopold. We've got
Who's
the
second in B?
UCF coach. The UCF coach.
Gus Malzahn.
Yep.
And then in C, we've got
Matt Campbell.
Matt Campbell. He's the second one. Cincinnati. His name is slipping my mind
We've
right
got
now.
lovely Dion Coach Prime Sanders there. Dale Brown, West Virginia. We've got BYU's coach there as well. And then moving on to the D tier, we have Baylor's coach.
Do I need to
Dave
get my
Aranda.
eyes checked?
You might.
I think
I mean,
do.
this is pretty far away. We've got Dave Aranda as the D coach, along with I can't see from here. To be totally honest with you.
That's
To be fair, it is tough to see.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go by schools. I got you. Okay, we got Utah, S tier, U of A. I also want to say Jedd Fisch looks like David Wallace from The Office. We have U of A, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. In B, Kansas, UCF, TCU, Houston, ASU, and then the C, Texas Tech, Iowa State, BYU, Colorado, West Virginia, and then in D, Baylor and Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, that was the other one. I
You
couldn't
wanna
see from
laugh?
here. Do I want to laugh?
Yeah. Tony
Make
in
me.
the chat. After Fisch wins the Big 12 and leaves Arizona, then Kenny can come to the Cats. He did want the job before Fisch. If you think Kenny Dillingham's leaving Arizona State University to go coach University of Arizona, you might be on crack.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
Tony's on some special kind of stuff if you think that Kenny's going to Tucson. That's not happening in any of our lifetimes. But you know what is?
Hot or not?
Hot or not is Danielle Who has been hot this week at PHNX as a company? I think I already know where you're going because you stated it earlier.
I
in the
did
week.
say this earlier. Erik Ruby.
Let's go.
Has been hot.
Finally.
Congratulations, Erik.
All I had to do was
All you gotta
compliment
do is pat my head and tell me I'm doing a good job. That's it. That's all you need.
All I gotta do is call you the best athlete in the office.
Yeah. I mean, where's the
Who's
lie?
not hot?
Where's
Who
the
has
lie?
been unequivocally
not hot? I thought about
ugly
this a
this
lot.
week?
I haven't really. We're gonna go Derek again.
Again?
Derek's
been back to back not hot?
He keeps stealing my desk. He keeps stealing my chair on
That's
my
fair.
desk. So yeah.
Damn, Danielle
That's
called
about it.
Derek ugly. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's tough.
That's
Word for
wild.
word.
What's our first topic, Danielle?
First topic. This is kind of interesting. Last night, Saul and I were singing along to a song on the Suns game, and Flex had never heard of these people, so I'm interested in what you guys think.
Oh, dear God.
The Red Hot Chili Peppers. Are they hot or not?
Ooh, this is tough for me.
You're from Southern California, so I feel like
This is tough
Your
because
hands are tied.
I love the Red Hot Chili Peppers. However, I went and saw them at in concert one time, and I left the concert early because it was so bad.
it's a weird show.
Yeah, it is
It's
a
a
very
real
weird
weird
show
show.
because they're much older. That is
they just
a
kinda
very
jam.
tough. They are the definition of lukewarm to me right now.
Lukewarm. I'd go hot. I don't.
It's in their name.
That's fair. That is fair. I think
they got some bangers though.
that's what I'm
got
saying,
some
man.
bangers.
That's what I'm saying.
They're hot. Come on.
Like I haven't seen them live. I'm not planning on
yeah,
doing
you don't
it.
need to.
They're not my favorite band of all time, but you're jamming along in the car, the windows are down.
I'm here for it.
Danny California comes on.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Hot.
Yeah, I'll take hot. What's topic number 2?
Cool. Topic number 2. Sweater weather.
Oh,
It is freezing outside,
But it is
and a
hot
lot
as
of people
hell.
like it.
hot
hot.
as hell.
It's hot. I'm not as prepared clothing wise as I thought I was because all like my jackets and stuff are very thin.
Hoodies,
And
jackets,
so I've been-
flannels, jeans.
Yeah,
all
you're
of it.
set. You're
I
set.
thrive in this weather.
This is a man who covered Notre Dame for a
Yeah.
couple of seasons.
I was
He's
so damn
ready.
cold there, and now I'm here, and this is beautiful weather. But I just think the clothing is better that you can rock in this time.
I
of
agree.
year.
I'm with you. I need thicker clothing. I like the clothing that I'm able to wear, but I need it to be a little bit thicker. But that's a me problem. That's not a weather problem. That's a
fair.
me problem.
That is absolutely fair.
Also, Sharon in chat, how have you never heard of Red Hot
Yeah,
Chili
who's-
Peppers? How old was this person?
It was
Flex.
Flex.
Flex never heard of the Chili
Flex
Peppers.
had never heard of the Red Hot
Flex
Chili
is in his
Peppers.
40s, so I don't.
That's you should know about Chili Peppers.
I mean, you should. Is it surprising to me? No.
Wow, Flex, you never heard of the Chili Peppers, man?
He didn't hear the song.
Okay,
but he
okay.
heard the
I
band.
that's okay. That one's on me.
That was
one's
about
on
to be
me.
real. I was about to be real concerned, Flex. Real concerned. Look, I think sweater weather is hot.
Okay, I'm
I
with
think
you.
it's hot as
I think
hell.
we're 2 for 2.
We're
agreeing.
cruising. We're
This
cruising.
is quite the amicable hot or not
Personally,
so
I
far.
hate it,
Oh, okay.
but I'm
Never
from
mind.
here, so I'm cold.
That's fair.
I'm
You
so
hate sweater
cold.
weather?
I hate it. No, I'm so cold.
Would you rather what's happening right now or 115?
Oh, give me 115.
Oh my God, you're
Yeah.
insane.
I have a pool.
You're nuts.
It's great.
Yeah, you can't take the pool with you. You can't walk
That's what
with
air
the pool.
conditioning is for. Park closed. Park in the shade. I
You
don't
could
mind the heat.
technically take a pool with you. You could get a kiddie pool and pull it, like
Just drag it.
yeah, like on a little wagon
Drag
or
it
put
behind
wheels
you.
on it.
I don't mind the heat.
I don't know, man. I
I
can't.
don't know. My dad was a construction worker. He told me not to complain about these things. Anyways, last one.
Real quickly, kind of ironically enough, Pete Thamel tweeted after acknowledging that Kalen Bohr is set to be at Alabama, he tweeted, "Washington will be an attractive job. Officials there for now won't have any college market competition. Quick list, no order. Lance Leopold, who we talked about,
Kansas.
Matt Campbell, who we talked about, Iowa State, Jedd Fisch, Ryan Grubb, Barry Odom, Chris Kleelman, Kansas State, Kyle Whittingham,
Wow.
Kalani Sataki, and Dave Clausen."
That's just the entire tier
A
list. that we
lot
just
of
did.
the tier list that we just did in
He's
the Big 12.
listing coaches' names.
We tiered UW replacements.
We did.
He's just listing any coach he can think of.
He kind of
That
did just
sounds
list
like
a lot
a-
of coaches.
Okay, real quick.
If they take Iowa State, brother, I don't
If
know about
they
that.
take Jedd Fisch, are we popping bottles?
I don't know because
I think we're popping bottles.
I would laugh in the face of the University of Arizona.
We're popping
I
bottles.
guess, well, yeah,
We're
'cause guess
popping
what?
bottles.
There's no Pac-12 anymore, so yeah, we're popping some fucking bottles.
of
Yeah.
champagne.
Jedd Fisch out of the Big 12, U of A crumbling
Oh
after
shit,
one
dude,
good
that
season.
might happen because they still haven't given him a contract.
No, they
extension.
haven't. And
Make
and-
it happen.
And they have not been that active in trying to add to their team and
Make
been
it
crazy in the
happen.
offseason.
Make it happen. And guess what?
What?
If Jedd Fisch leaves, what did we say about the portal? It opens for 30 days.
Bye.
Oh, shit.
Bye.
We did it. We broke U of A. We did it. Let's go. What's topic number 3?
Okay, well, before this happened, I actually wrote this one down.
Oh, God.
This one isn't so much a hot or not, so much as it is, I heard somebody in Tucson was asking, how do we feel about Seattle?
As a
Seattle,
city?
Washington. Hot or not?
Hot.
Is it
What do we
hot?
think? How do we think
Yeah,
of it
I like
compared to
Seattle.
Tucson?
If it's compared to Tucson, it's scalding hot, burning 3rd-degree
The
burns.
only thing they have in Tucson are these little donuts that Craig loves at the. Sorry, Craig. We're just
Craig
we're
hates
just
to be
adding you.
affiliated
Yeah,
with this
Craig.
show.
Craig
Sorry,
hates being
Craig.
affiliated with
Sorry.
PHNX Sun
There
Devils.
is
Sorry to bring you down to our
another
level.
great thing about Tucson, but I'm not allowed to give free ads. But
That's fair.
It's
Fro-
fair.
Seattle or Tucson?
Frozen-
What are you taking? If you had to pick one.
Oh, you're asking me to disparage a city, aren't you?
I am.
I mean, you
No, we're
did-
happy to
Craig-
pick one. You're happy to
Craig-
do
I
it.
love
Craig-
that every
Craig,
time
to be
Craig's on the
fair-
show, he kneels like he's our father.
To be fair, Craig, we spent an entire
He looks disappointed.
2 weeks disparaging an entire country of Sweden.
Sweden.
So that's fair.
So much to disparage about Sweden.
No, you're
There-
not a
there
big
really isn't.
fan of the Swedes?
No, it was all shtick.
Mm.
Actually, listen, I like things about Tucson. There are things I like about Tucson. I think it's a good college town, but you were giving me Seattle. as a
100%.
possibility?
So if you were to say, like, if you had a job offer in Washington, but you currently had a job in Tucson, what would you think?
Where you had a lot of success.
You had a lot of success.
Adios.
Going to Seattle, baby.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Craig Morgan reporting Jedd Fisch to University of Washington, according to sources.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, look, I'll say Seattle's hot.
I'm
Just-
gonna get out of this show now.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you got
Thanks,
in
Dad.
it.
Yeah.
We
With your
appreciate you.
reaction to when we
We
said your name.
appreciate
Appreciate you gracing us with your presence, man.
Guys, that is going to do it for Hot or Not and the PHNX Sun Devils show today. Do us a solid. Hit that like button and subscribe button on your way out if you enjoyed the content, or specifically, if you disagreed with anything we had to say today. I think you should give us a follow at PHNX_Sun
Take your
Devils.
frustration on that like button,
You can
baby.
follow me at Anthony_Totri. And like I said, if you have any complaints as to
Right
the
here.
tier list, you can send them to at Erik Ruby on
Don't
social
hesitate.
media. That is Erik with a K. And you can also follow DJ Danielle at Abraca Danielle on social media. Look, I know there are a lot of people asking ASU basketball questions. I'll make sure to get out some content for you guys as it relates to what we saw from the Sun Devils on Thursday night and looking ahead to their next game. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your Friday. Go Devils, and peace.
We all silly like the mayor.